And welcome back to Subculture on CentralCoastRadio.com. We've got something very special for you now because Dom Mariani's DATURA4 are heading across to the East Coast for a tour. We've also got their brand new single that we're going to play in a moment as well, but we thought, you know what? We actually want to get Dom on the phone to talk a little bit about this tour and the brand new single. So welcome to the program, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Pleasure.
Now, mate, I've got to say, we are so excited that you're heading across here to the East Coast for this tour. How are you guys feeling about it?
Oh, the same. Yeah, it's been a while. I think the last time we were over there was 7 years ago. We did Newcastle and then show in Sydney and then went down to Melbourne for a couple of shows. So, yeah, it's been a while. So, yeah, we're really looking forward to it.
I guess over the last few years, there were some times when we all started to think whether or not bands touring and coming from the West across to the East Coast were going to be a thing of the past. How did you spend that time during the lockdowns and everything?
Well, I guess here in the West, we didn't have it as bad as, you guys there. The lockdowns were, there was a couple of short lockdowns, but, the restrictions did sort of stop gigs and things like that happening, and there were crowd restrictions when things sort of started up again. But we ended up recording another album, so that's how we spent the time. We did have plans to tour during that period of COVID. We had planned to go back overseas. We'd only just done a tour in 2019. We'd gone off to Europe, and that was quite successful. And we had plans to go back and do some more touring on the East Coast. We had an album ready to go, which was West Coast Highway Cosmic. But yeah, we couldn't tour it, so that was a bit of a bummer. But so we just decided to record another album. So I had some material, some new songs. We started jamming, and we did Neanderthal Jam. So that's the one we're currently touring on.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about your success overseas because you guys have been doing so well overseas, like with great acclaim as well. What's that been like for you? Like, did that come as a little bit of a surprise that things took off overseas so quickly for the band as well?
Yeah, look, it's really nice to get that recognition overseas. Obviously, that's got a lot to do with the label that we're signed with, who are based in the US. So they have a fairly good distribution in the US and in Europe and other places in the world. So I guess because they have some other, reasonably high-profile bands, when we got signed to them, they were able to, get our record out there to a fairly big sort of audience, and it seemed to come quite quickly. There was some good feedback on the first album, and it's just kept sort of building. It's remained reasonably consistent, but each album seems to be building the audience a little bit more. And the only drawback is that we live in Perth, I guess, and to get out there and tour, it's a fairly big effort. But we plan to do that again later on this year. So that's kind of, I guess, something that we like to focus on, is to try and get out there and tour a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Now, the new album, you got some great feedback straight away when the first single came out, and Steve Van Zandt called it the coolest song in the world. That must have been something very pleasing for you to hear.
Yeah, he's a bit of a fan of the band. When he came over a few years back with his Disciples of Soul, we got the opportunity to support them. He'd known me through previous bands that I was in, like the Stems and DM3, and so he got in touch and asked my band DATURA4 to open up for them here in Perth, and that was the first opportunity for him to see us play, and he really liked it. He liked the direction that I was going in with the new group, and so once the album came out, and with previous albums, we'd send him the album, or the record company would send him the album, and he would listen to it, and happened to choose one of those songs for the coolest song in the world for that particular week that he plays on his syndicated radio show. That was a bit of a thrill. It's not the song I would have picked, but I'm not very good at doing that anyway. So he seemed to pick the song that I would have thought would have been the last song someone would have picked for a single.
So, mate, tell us a little bit about this album. What kind of things were influencing you when you sat down to work on and write on this album?
Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, world sort of affairs sort of comes into play a little bit. Just sort of my general feeling at the time with what was happening with COVID and just my personal experience of, just trying to live my life, I suppose, through, the changes that we're going through. Some of the songs sort of reflect that kind of theme. But then again, I like to sort of pick a few topics here and there to kind of, create songs from. A song like Digging My Own Grave, sort of goes back to sort of personal, I guess, experience with depression and things like that. And, putting it into sort of a rock song, which sort of had like a bit of sort of Motorhead, sort of Black Sabbath kind of feel to it, We have a fairly sort of bluesy influence to the band as well. So we've got Bob Patient, the keyboard player, who brings in a lot of flavours with his sort of extraordinary kind of keyboard skills, which when he joined the band, it really opened up a lot of possibilities for songwriting. And the jam thing was pretty much the whole idea of these songs came out of jam sessions, which, during the lockdown periods and pandemic, we were, there was nothing much we could really do other than just get in a rehearsal room and jam and just enjoy playing music together, because there wasn't a lot of gigs to play and not much touring. So, that song sort of came from those sessions and stretching out on some of the ideas and some of them sort of becoming, the songs that we have on the album.
Now, Digging My Own Grave is the track that we're going to play at the moment, and like you said, it's a deeply personal track. What was that like for you, writing about something so personal such as depression?
Well, having experienced it myself, I pretty much got it under control these days, but, I hark back to my experiences of having that thing and sort of channeling it into music and writing about it is a good way to kind of express some of the feelings and use sort of colourful words and language or metaphors to try and portray, something like that, So I try and use it as something I can sort of build my songs with, when I have personal experiences like that. And depression was one that I experienced a while back. And, I try to sort of use it in a positive way. So writing songs about it and getting those feelings out in some kind of descriptive, poetic way is my way of kind of, I guess in a way, kind of touching base with it again, and sort of moving forward too.
Definitely. Now, bringing it back to the tour, tell us a little bit about this tour. What have you guys got planned for people coming along to the shows?
Well, we've got a short tour, so we're basically starting off. Our first show is in Sydney, and we're playing at a place called the Great Club. That's on the 21st of April.
Yep.
And that's supporting a band from Canada called the Sheepdogs. So that's our first gig back to Sydney for a while, and then from there we go up to do the Gumball Festival, which we're really, really looking forward to. That's on the Saturday. That's on the 22nd. And then we're heading down to Melbourne or Victoria, and we do Geelong on the 23rd of April, and then on the 24th of April is our last show at the Cherry Bar in the city.
Awesome. So you guys have got so many great tracks now. Is it getting harder to put together a set list for a tour like this?
It sure is. Yeah, it's a good point there. There's songs that we've recorded that we think, well, we should put that in the set list. But then, we're trying to promote the new album, so there'll be mainly songs from that. But we try to sort of spread it out a little bit. But there are songs that I'd like to do, but it comes down to like the old democratic process in the band to see, what songs get more votes than the others, kind of thing. Because one of the guys might say, "I want to do that song," and then one of the other guys might say, "Oh no, I'd rather do this one." So it's always a bit of a problem, but we work it out in the end, and we like to sort of go back to and maybe find a song that we haven't played in a while and bring it back into the set if we can,
Yeah, definitely. Now, Dom, we are about to play Digging My Own Grave on the show. What would you like to say to everybody out there, not only before they listen to this amazing track, but before they go out and grab tickets for your shows as well?
Well, come along and see us play, because we don't get over there that often, and I think you'll won't be disappointed. It's a great live band, and hopefully if you're a fan already, we'll play the songs that you want to hear. If not, come along to the show. I think you'll dig it.
Definitely. And for all the listeners out there, if you want to check out the DATURA4 show, all of those tour dates and where you can grab tickets are up on our website right now. But for right now, we are going to play Digging My Own Grave. Dom, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us today, mate. It's been an absolute honour having you on the show.
Thanks, Dave. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.